Hello and welcome back again to Quicks14Blog. Quicks14 here, bringing you some more Nax, the last of Nax, specifically Sapharion and Kel'Thuzad, the big two that we've been aiming for. Showing you Sapharion, our first time going in and actually fighting Sapharion, and we actually one-shotted him. Doesn't happen every day, but something to be proud of. Good news about Sapharion and Kel'Thuzad, no enraged timers to worry about here, so that helps a lot. Sapharion's a bitch. Well, at least a little bit. First and foremost, as you can see, he does this blizzard effect, and it runs around the map, kind of moving around. Get out of it. It's going to slow you down, do massive damage. Second, he's like a normal dragon, so if you're tanking him or something like that, you need to be aware of his cone effect of his head, and of course he has a tail swipe, so stay away from his tail. As you saw there a minute ago, I got ice blocked, and what will happen is periodically, every now and then, he's going to ice block 2 random people in your party, and then he's going to go up and do this big, huge, like, frost breath thing all across the area. You need to get directly behind, lined up behind that ice block if you're not it, otherwise you will die. As you can see right here, get right behind it, just like that. As close to it as possible. Not on top of it, not too far behind it, but right there, and you'll be fine. Also, one more thing of note that you might be noticing, I'm taking damage all the time. Why? You are constantly taking frost damage with Sapharion. Constantly. The more resistance you have here, the better. Some people like to use resistance gear, frost resist gear, just for this fight. Having a Death Knight or a Shaman or something of that nature to help boost it along with like wild growth or whatever will help a lot. Just the basic Druid effect of 75 resistance will help quite a bit. This is a pretty intensive fight. It can be pretty long, especially for someone coming in here for the first time. As you can see, we're doing the best we can. He's got a ton of hit points and a ton of armor. He is tough. He is a pain, and I actually narrated twice on this fight. It's insane. The blizzards just would not leave me alone either. He does do curses, specifically some life drain like curses, so it's very important you keep an eye on those for those who can remove curses, which of course is druids and mages. Keep an eye on that and make sure you go ahead and do that. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. That's the main thing to keep a hold of. That's the main thing to watch on. Make sure you're all fairly close together, but not too close together for the ice blizzard. As you can see, the worst thing that can happen is the blizzard comes right in on one of our ice blocks, and I did lose some people there. Otherwise, that's all you really got to look out for. The blizzard is probably the most annoying thing I encountered because it just would not leave me alone. So it will keep you moving across the map. Just be aware of that. Make sure you're paying attention as a healer. I got turned around near the end here, as you'll see, where I was going around the other side instead of where I was, just trying to escape the blizzards. Because once he reaches, I believe, it's 40% or 30% or somewhere in that area, he will not, or 20%, somewhere where he reaches a certain percentage, and you'll see it here. You will see that he will no longer do the ice blocks or the frost breath anymore. So you can just focus on healing him, and that's kind of why I got behind him on the other side, just trying to stay away from the blizzards. Otherwise, that's pretty much the fight. It's not too hard. It's not too difficult, as long as you're paying attention. Compared to Kel'Thuzad, I think this is a pretty straightforward fight. It really doesn't have to be coordinated. You just have to pay attention to what's going on and make sure you're behind in those ice blocks. And positioning on the ice blocks is probably the hardest thing for the first time. It's not like you want to be right on top of the ice block with the person. You want to be behind it just a little bit, as lined up behind it as possible, and stack on each other so you do not get hit by that blast. If you do that, you'll be just fine. My wife had a hard time figuring that out, but when I actually showed her what I was talking about, she kind of got it. So as you can see, it's a lot easier to see and do than it probably is to explain and do. This was an incredible fight for the first time. It was so exciting and psyched to get in here and get this done. We are two healing this. It's just me and Kezov there, our a shaman that who runs with us from time to time, and that was it. It was just us two healing. So it was pretty intense. You can do Sapharion with two healers if you got good healers. That's pretty much it. Kel'Thuzad is a different story. He's a little more difficult on the healing side of things than Sapharion is here. And you'll see why as we continue on, and of course go into part 2 as well. This is, of course, the very last two bosses of Nax. There is absolutely no major trash to clear on the way to these bosses in any way, shape, or form. So basically what's going to happen after you have all the quarters open, the middle teleporter by the entrance, the thing on the top that you'd usually teleport back in on once you've finished an area. See, I got turned around there, came back on the other side, that you usually show up on when you teleport in. You're going to teleport to this area, and of course if you died and you came back in the next, you'd go up to that teleporter to teleport to where these guys are. So he's just about down now. As you can see, now he's not doing the big thing anymore, the big breath. Yeah, the reason I got kind of turned around is I was trying to find Kitty, and I lost track of her. It's also important to note that once he's dead, the blizzard effect still may last for a little while. So best thing to do, it'll keep you in combat, much like the plague boss. What's his name does. There's the achievement. There it is, one-shotted. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Little loot here. A nice helm, but more roguish, and maybe even hunter and everything. So that was a nice drop. So now we come to Kel'Thuzad. We're going to touch a little bit here. This is one of our mini wipes. We wiped about 3 times, and this was one of them. As you see here, first phase is trash, basically. He's got a 10-minute, or not a 10-minute, but a couple minutes, 2 to 3 minute timer before he actually becomes available for phase 2. In the meantime, he's going to spawn everyone. When you come into this room, the green area just has to be triggered to activate the fight. You're going to come in here. This is not very healing intensive at this point, and you're going to want to target these guys. The abominations should be tanked, the skeletons should be DPS'd, and wraiths, or not wraiths, but the banshees, the ones that look like ghosts, should be prioritized and killed first as they get closer. The goal here is you're going to have all these ads and everything. You want to stay in this green circle. You don't want to pull more than you need to. Once he teleports in, the rest will fade, but anything that's active and actually moving towards the center needs to be killed. And obviously, if none are killed and he teleports in, then they need to be killed first before targeting is prioritized on him. So once that all happens, his phase 2 begins, which of course brings him inside, brings him to the middle, and then you actually start it. Kel'Thuzad has an array of abilities. He has, of course, a very heavy frostbolt that he uses to attack. He has a raid-wide frostbolt which cannot be avoided and does some damage. He also does an insta-kill here, this little red marker here. If you stand in the middle there too long and that happens, you will die instantly. So very important that you watch it, and if you see it, move. It's very difficult for tanks because it can be targeted. Tanks can be targeted with it too, but please keep an eye on that, because if you're in the middle of that and you don't move in time and that goes off, you're dead. He does a mana detonate thing as well. It's also very important, as you can see there, my big wig's kind of in the middle, that you do not stand too close to everyone. I believe the range is about 10 yards. If you're too close to anyone, you could cause major damage. He does an ice blast or frost blast, which basically, in case someone's in ice, it's non-cancelable, and if they have to be healed through it, and if they're not, they die. That's it. Game over. And if you are too close to someone within those 10 yards, they will be Ice Blast as well, so it becomes a real pain for the healers. So it's just important to keep it separated. Keep some distance. If you have deadly boss mods or big wigs, you're going to have this little area box, as you can see, that will help you. Those are the main things of interest and main points for Phase 2, and that's what you need to watch for and make sure you stay away from. Of course, this was a wipe. Our main tank died, and I did not have my battle res up, and we get ads in the third phase that need to be off-tanked, and of course our off-tank is main tanking now, so yeah, it becomes a big mess and we wipe. But you shall see that here in part 2, so stick around as we down Kel'Thuzad. See you next.